Do you ever wonder about your money? Are you truly making smart moves? That shiny new car, maybe the latest smartphone, they feel like solid assets, don't they? But what if they're actually, well, clever traps? Today, we're going to expose the top 10. These are the silent wealth destroyers out there. And honestly, most people miss them entirely.
Yeah, and this deep dive reveals a really killer insight. It's all about what actually impacts your net worth, not just what looks good. You get practical, actionable steps you can use. It's definitely a fresh perspective on things, not quite your usual financial advice,
So stick around, because number 3 on our list is a massive trap. Millions are falling for it right now. And most of them, well, they don't even see it coming. I love diving into material like this, especially when it just cuts through all the noise. It gives these unique, tested approaches to really understanding money. This source brings a truly unique take. So yeah, let's unpack this together.
Okay, so we're embarking on a deep dive today, looking into the 10 biggest wealth destroyers. You know the ones. Those common purchases, things we often mistake for smart financial decisions. But how do we get beyond just like the obvious stuff? How do we find those deeper insights?
That's a really good point, because this deep dive, it isn't just theory. We're giving you practical takeaways. You'll get real clarity on what maybe you should stop buying, and just as importantly, what to prioritize instead. Our goal here is to identify those common things people think are assets, but in reality, they're liabilities. This should help free you from some financial pitfalls. We'll show you exactly how these items can actively work against your wealth building. You might be thinking, okay, what else is there? Is that it? Trust us, there's plenty more to cover. We'll go through them one by one. We're hitting everything from, your driveway to your closet, even some investments you might be considering right now. We'll give you solid reasons for each and smart, actionable alternative. Let's jump right in with number 10.
Number 10, the brand new car. That new car smell. It's exciting, right? Feels like the scent of success, almost. But often, it's more like the smell of money. Well, burning. The second you drive that shiny new car off the lot, it's one of the fastest ways to see your money disappear. A brand new car can lose, 20 to 30% of its value? That's just in the first year. Boom. Thousands of dollars just vanished.
Exactly. And what's really insightful here isn't just that immediate hit, that depreciation. That's like just the start. Beyond that, you're looking at much higher insurance payments usually. Then there are ongoing maintenance costs, fuel, obviously, registration fees. These aren't just one-time things. They're constant, kind of silent leaks from your budget. We connect this to the bigger picture. A car is fundamentally a tool. It gets you from A to B. It's not an investment designed to grow your wealth. It's a depreciating asset, plain and simple. So the truly smart move, let someone else take that huge depreciation hit. Going for a reliable 2 or 3-year-old car gives you pretty much the same utility. You still get reliability, but you avoid that initial, really brutal financial punch.
Absolutely, that makes so much sense. And speaking of things that seem small but really add up, let's talk about number 9, unused subscriptions and memberships. Oof. This one probably hit close to home for a lot of us, myself included. We sign up for things, right? That gym membership we were so excited about in January. A new streaming service just to watch one specific show. Or maybe a meal kit box that seemed like a great idea for a week. They feel small, don't they? $10 here, 20 there. But these are just silent, automatic drains on your money.
Yeah, and this brings up a key question. Have you actually sat down and added up what those small fees cost you over a year? It's easy for them to pile up, hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars annually. This is just pure wasted potential. It's like an inertia tax money you pay just because you haven't bothered to click cancel. That cash is just leaking out of your account, and it's not providing any real value back. Think about it, that's money that could be going towards paying down debt faster, or even better, being invested to actually grow your wealth over time. The practical takeaway here is pretty simple. Set aside, say, 30 minutes sometime this week. Go through your bank and credit card statements, and be ruthless, honestly. If you're not actively using a service, just canceling. It's like giving yourself an instant pay raise.
An instant raise. I love thinking about it that way. Okay, for number 8, let's move into the closet. Designer clothes and luxury accessories. We live in this world obsessed with, Instagram flexing. That pressure to look successful can feel really intense. And luxury brands, they are masters at selling the dream. They push this idea that their products are somehow investment pieces. But let's just debunk that myth right here, right now.
Absolutely. Look, unless we're talking about incredibly rare, truly exceptional vintage pieces, that $1,000 handbag or those fancy shoes are not investments. They're consumer goods, plain and simple. Just like a new car, they start losing value the second you buy them. Their worth is completely tied up in fleeting trends that can change, almost overnight. What's considered in today can look totally dated tomorrow. If we connect this back to real wealth building, true wealth isn't about the logo on your shirt or bag. It's about having genuine financial security, freedom, options. The smarter alternative is to focus on building a wardrobe with quality, timeless pieces that last, constantly chasing fleeting trends with super expensive designer stuff. That's a guaranteed way to stay stuck on that financial treadmill. It actively prevents you from building real, lasting wealth.
Right. Timeless always wins over trendy in the long run, and if chasing trends in your closet is a financial treadmill, just imagine what happens when you buy number 7 on our list. Boats and recreational vehicles, or RVs. The dream. The open road, the freedom of the water. It feels like you're buying a ticket to adventure, but for most people, it's actually a ticket straight into a potential financial nightmare. If you thought cars depreciated quickly, boats and RVs are honestly on a whole different level. They are notorious for how fast they lose a huge chunk of their value.
Oh, definitely. And what's really striking here is that the initial purchase price, that's just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg. The really substantial ongoing costs are where these things truly become wealth destroyers. You could be looking at hundreds of dollars every single month just for storage, depending on where you live. Then you have to factor in insurance, which isn't cheap. Fuel costs, especially for boats. Winterizing the engine if you're in a cold climate. And constant, often very expensive, maintenance and repairs. Things break. There's that old saying among boat owners, right? The 2 happiest days are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. That pretty much sums it up. These are not assets. They are luxury items that constantly consume your money. If you really love the lifestyle, the practical advice is simple. Rent one when you want the experience. You get all the fun, all the enjoyment. But you avoid those crippling ongoing costs that can actually sink your finances.
That saying about boats is just so spot on. I actually knew someone who bought this beautiful boat, totally convinced it would be their ultimate weekend escape. Fast forward 3 years, and they were spending more time escaping the endless maintenance bills than actually escaping to the open water. Okay, now for number 6, the vacation home. Now, this one might sound a bit counterintuitive at first. I mean, how can real estate, which we often see as like the cornerstone of building wealth, actually destroy wealth? Well, it really all depends on how you use it. We're not talking here about a rental property that's generating income for you. We're specifically talking about a second home that you purchase purely for your own leisure, your personal getaway. That dream of a cozy cabin tucked away in the woods, or maybe a serene house right by the beach. It can quickly turn into a financial headache.
Yeah, what's fascinating, or maybe alarming, here is how these homes rack up significant ongoing costs, even when they're just sitting there empty most of the year. You're still on the hook for property taxes, which can be substantial, insurance, utilities, even minimal ones, general upkeep and repairs, and potentially hefty homeowners association, or HOA, fees, depending on the location. It's essentially like having a second mortgage, but without the benefit of living there full-time or generating income. It ties up a huge amount of your cash, both equity and ongoing expenses, for a place you might only actually use for a few weeks out of the entire year. So this really raises an important question. Is that truly an asset that's working for you? Or is it basically a money pit? Unless you are seriously committed to renting it out consistently, enough to turn a profit or at least cover costs, a vacation home used primarily for leisure typically drains your resources rather than building your wealth.
Okay, so we're about halfway through our deep dive now. Before we jump into the next 5, let me ask you this. What's the one thing on this list so far that still kind of surprises you about how easily people fall into these traps?
That's a tough one, because they're all pretty insidious in their own way.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, I'd maybe say the underlying mindset, the keeping up with the Joneses factor we'll get to later. It drives so much of this.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for you listening, is anything on this list surprising you so far? Has one of these maybe hit a little close to home, perhaps making you rethink a past purchase or even a future dream you've had?
It's worth pausing to think about. What's really standing out to you? This whole discussion raises a critical question, doesn't it? Are you maybe unknowingly caught in any of these financial traps right now? Just taking a moment to reflect on your own spending habits can be really eye-opening.
Good questions indeed. Okay, well, we've got 5 more really powerful points to uncover, including that major trap I mentioned, number 3, that's still coming up. Let's get back into it. All right, kicking off the second half with number 5, timeshares. Okay, if we called a vacation home a potential money pit, a timeshare is often described as more of a financial black hole. The sales pitch is always so seductive, isn't it? Own a slice of paradise, a piece of a luxury resort for just a tiny fraction of the outright cost. Sounds amazing, but the reality, it's usually far, far harsher. This is consistently ranked as one of the worst financial products you could possibly buy. For starters, they are notoriously almost impossibly difficult to sell. The resale market is practically non-existent or worse. You see owners literally trying to give them away online, sometimes listed for just a single dollar. Anything just to escape those relentless ongoing fees.
And that's exactly where the real trap lies. Those escalating annual maintenance fees. That's the killer part. You are contractually locked into paying these fees for life. Or until you can somehow offload the timeshare, which, as we said, is incredibly hard. And it doesn't matter whether you actually use the property that year or not, you pay. And here's the kicker. Those fees almost never go down. They only seem to go up year after year after year, often faster than inflation. If you connect this to the bigger picture of wealth, it's basically a guaranteed way to destroy a portion of your wealth for decades. And what do you get for it? The privilege being essentially forced to vacation in the same spot, often at the same time, every single year, whether you want to or not. The practical takeaway could not be simpler. Avoid timeshares at all costs. Just steer clear.
Avoid them, loud and clear. Okay, number 4 on our list. Hype-driven stocks and thematic ETFs. ETFs being exchange-traded funds, right? Basically a basket of stocks around a theme. So now we're moving away from physical items and into investing traps, which can honestly be even more deceptive, more dangerous. Like, we all feel that pull sometimes, don't we? That FOMO, fear of missing out, that urge to get in on the next big thing, whether it's some crazy meme stock blowing up online, or maybe a trendy ETF focused on, I don't know, robotics or clean energy or whatever's hot. But let me tell you, chasing that kind of hype is almost always a recipe for losing money in the long run. We saw it happen spectacularly with funds like the ARK Innovation ETF during that pandemic bubble. It soared unbelievably high, then just crashed and burned, wiping out billions in wealth from regular investors who piled in late.
Right. And what's truly insightful, or maybe predictable here, is that these types of investments are often built more on exciting stories and narratives than on solid business fundamentals or actual profits. By the time you're hearing about the next sure thing on the mainstream news, or maybe from your cousin who just started investing, you can bet the so-called smart money, the insiders, the early investors, has almost certainly already taken their profits and moved on. This also applies to really risky instruments like leveraged ETFs or inverse ETFs. These are basically designed for short-term trading, almost like gambling, not long-term investing. If we connect this back to the goal of building sustainable wealth, well, that kind of wealth is typically built slowly. And yes, often quite boringly. It comes through disciplined, consistent, long-term investing in diversified, low-cost index funds or broad market ETFs. It's definitely not built by betting the farm on the flavor of the month.
Slowly and boringly, maybe that should be the secret motto. Okay, now for number 3, the big trap I hinted at earlier. NFTs and speculative crypto. This connects directly to what we were just saying about hype and, frankly, gambling. The crypto boom, especially back in 2021, created these absolutely wild, incredibly compelling stories. You know, teenagers becoming millionaires overnight. This, completely understandably, led millions of ordinary people to throw significant amounts of money at digital assets they barely understood, if at all. All driven by the hopes of hitting the jackpot, winning the lottery. But for the vast majority, it ended up being a truly painful, expensive lesson. We're talking here about non-fungible tokens, NFTs, those unique digital assets like digital art, collectibles, virtual land.
Oh yeah, the NFT market crash is just a textbook example of a pure speculative hype bubble bursting. Trading volumes just plummeted by over 97% from their peak. It was astonishing. Remember all those celebrity-endorsed Bored Apes that were selling for hundreds of thousands, even millions? Most lost almost all their supposed value. It vividly showed just how quickly the floor can fall out from under these purely digital, often sentiment-driven assets. And then, of course, you had the catastrophic meltdowns of major crypto exchanges like FTX. We're talking billions upon billions in customer funds that simply vanished, allegedly due to massive fraud and mismanagement. Now, while the underlying blockchain technology itself might indeed have transformative potential in the long run, that's a separate discussion, treating these speculative digital tokens like lottery tickets or some guaranteed get-rich-quick scheme. That is one of the fastest ways to watch your hard-earned money just evaporate into thin air.
It really has been a tough lesson learned for so many people. Okay, coming in close to the top. At number 2, expensive electronics on an upgrade cycle. Chances are you probably have this particular wealth destroyer sitting in your pocket or on your desk right now. We're talking about the latest and greatest smartphone, the newest laptop, the shiniest tablet. Tech companies, let's be honest, are absolute masters of marketing. They make you feel like your perfectly functional 1 or maybe 2-year-old device is suddenly an ancient relic, obsolete. They have brilliantly engineered this upgrade cycle. It's a pervasive trap that keeps us spending thousands of dollars every couple of years. And often it's for really tiny incremental improvements that most people barely notice or use.
Right. And this raises a really important question about value retention, or rather, the lack of it. That $1,200 flagship phone you just bought, it will likely be worth maybe half that, or even less, in just 1 year's time. The depreciation is incredibly steep. Constantly being on the bleeding edge of new technology means you are constantly getting sliced up by that rapid depreciation. It truly is a never-ending treadmill of spending. It feels like you just got the new one and already the next one is being announced, and it's a treadmill that actively prevents you from building real savings and investments. That money has to come from somewhere. The practical takeaway, the really smart move here, is to shift your mindset. Buy the technology you actually need for what you do, not just the newest, flashiest model because it's new, and then commit to using it until it genuinely stops working effectively for you. Break free from that artificially created upgrade cycle. You might actually be shocked at how much money you free up over time, and how much more you can direct towards saving and investing for your future.
Break the cycle. I think that's really powerful advice for so many areas, but especially tech. Okay, and now we've arrived at number 1. The single biggest wealth destroyer of them all, according to this analysis. Keeping up with the Joneses. Now, this isn't an item you can actually buy off a shelf. It's a mindset. It's an attitude. But it's arguably the root cause behind almost every other bad financial decision we've discussed on this list. It's the reason you feel that constant nagging pressure to get the newer car, to buy the bigger house in the right neighborhood, to flaunt the expensive watch or handbag. You scroll through social media and see these perfectly curated, seemingly flawless lives. Or you look at what your neighbors are buying, what vacations they're taking, and you start to feel inadequate, like you're somehow falling behind if you don't have the same things.
And what's truly fascinating, and frankly destructive, here is the profound impact this comparison mindset has on our financial well-being. Living a life primarily focused on impressing other people is, without a single doubt, the absolute most expensive way you can choose to live. It virtually guarantees you'll consistently spend more than you earn, often pushing you deep into debt for things that, as we've seen, rapidly lose value anyway. It means prioritizing looking rich over actually being financially secure. Appearance over substance. The real killer insight here, the core message perhaps, is that genuine financial freedom isn't really about acquiring more things. It's often about having fewer obligations, fewer payments, less stuff tying you down. It's about consciously deciding to opt out of that relentless consumer race. It's about defining your own independent markers of success and happiness, separate from what society or social media tells you. The very second you stop comparing your life, your finances, your possessions to someone else's highlight reel, and instead focus intently on your own unique goals, your own values, your own progress, you win. You take back control. But true wealth, ultimately, isn't about the fancy car or the big house. It's about having the freedom and the options to live life on your own terms. It's about having substantial savings, being debt-free, feeling secure, and owning things that genuinely work for you and enhance your life, not the other way around, where you're working just to pay for the things.
Wow. So that's our deep dive. The 10 things people so often mistake for assets, but which in reality can actually be destroying their wealth. From the car parked in your driveway, maybe even the phone in your hand, right down to the mindset you hold about money and success. These are powerful, pervasive traps.
But the good news is, now that you can identify them, now that you're aware, you have the power to consciously choose to avoid them, or at least minimize their impact. Remember, building real wealth isn't usually about making tiny, painful sacrifices every day, like never buying coffee. It's much more about making bigger, intentional choices, strategic decisions, and investing your time, energy, and money in what truly secures your future and aligned with your values. It's really about understanding the difference between things that provide fleeting pleasure versus things that build lasting security and freedom.
Absolutely. We've seen today how powerful insights, like the ones we've deep dived into, can genuinely transform your understanding of money and finance. And the great thing is, you can take action immediately, like right after this. Start by just taking an honest look at your own spending habits, your own mindset around money and possessions. Maybe consider this as a takeaway thought. What's just one asset that you currently own that maybe after listening to this deep dive you realize might actually be quietly draining your wealth more than building it? And more importantly, what's the first step you're going to take about it? If this deep dive opened your eyes or got you thinking, make sure you subscribe to the deep dive for more insights like this, insights that truly matter for your financial journey. You can also find links to other related deep dives and useful content right there in the description below, so you can continue building your real wealth starting today.